Living truth. How do we do that? I mean, it's so easy to talk about understanding and how one should behave and how we want to understand the world. It's such a different thing to live it, though. Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to dig deeper in. If you're new to this channel, then warmly welcome. My name is Josefin. And if you're a regular viewer, then welcome back. Or actually, this time, welcome to Portugal. I've been on this little retreat, I guess you could say. I've been visiting a friend and getting the luxury of living on this little mountaintop in the middle of nowhere, where life doesn't challenge you quite as much, or at least not me. I find the interesting part about spirituality is when it meets life. Like having life be your teacher. Because I'm a firm believer that life will show us when we're off path. Like I have this trust that whatever I do, I can never know for sure if I'm aligned with my understanding. But one thing that will show me is suffering. We can always rely on suffering. There is this poem, I guess, by Almas that I absolutely love. I don't actually have it with me now, but I'll pop it up here like a little clip in somehow. And what it basically says is that there is this thing inside of us that wants to guide us to truth, that wants us to live our authentic selves. And if we don't listen, it will make us suffer greatly. What else can it do? It loves us so deeply that it doesn't want us to let go of the opportunity to come home to ourselves. And in that way, our suffering is actually our friend. It's showing us where we're not living in alignment. And that's not necessarily like a far-fetched thing. That happen in the grit of everyday life. For me, it's been happening with YouTube lately, actually. Because I've received a lot of aggressive or hateful comments. Not so much towards me personally, but towards non-duality. Like people are thinking it's a cult or that it's misleading people, that it's a toxic way of looking at the world. And I don't know. Maybe they've been hurt by this understanding. Maybe they have a loved one who haven't fared very well. Because it can be quite painful to see through that the way you thought the world works might not be the way it is working. But to respond to it by emptying your garbage can on a random YouTube channel, well, might not be the best way to handle it, but that's my opinion. The world doesn't behave the way I want it to behave. And I think that's what I've had to work with. Because there's this duality, kind of. One of the things is that I don't mind, or actually I encourage discussions and where people get to share their ideas and beliefs and try to understand each other, and we don't have to agree. But I'm not so interested in just receiving anger or disappointment when there's no opportunity to really meet or understand. And for me, it's come up a lot of this, that people shouldn't do that, or it shouldn't happen, or trying to somehow narrate how YouTube should work, how people should behave. And there's a reason, there's a wisdom in that. like, don't pour your energy into environments that might not be able to receive it. But there's also a bit of teaching in it, because the suffering, or the tendency that I've had to work with, has been this of like having to look really closely at, why am I sharing on YouTube to begin with? And being completely honest with that. I mean, yes, there is this deep love of truth and wanting to share and connect with other people, connect with you, hear your perspective on life, being rewarded with that. But then there also creeps in this little, I haven't done YouTube videos before. I haven't been faced with having to look at myself and all of a sudden get to look at the data of how many people look at my videos, how many people like this video. And it triggers this old part of me wanting to perform, wanting to have the world to like me. And that's not necessarily nourishing for anyone. It's not nourishing for me. It's not nourishing for the channel. It's not fun to watch at. So these comments have made me suffer in that sense, and has made me have to take a closer look at where my intentions are actually coming from. And taking one step towards letting go of the world liking me or liking what I have to say. Yes, it's nice when the world does that. But I don't need it to be valuable. And you don't need it to be valuable. None of us do, because our value is never at stake. Our lovableness is never at stake. It can't be found in YouTube statistics. And I know that. I've seen through that. But every now and then it pops up its head, and then I suffer. It's like this little part inside of me is like pricking me in the side, saying like, look at this. This is where you're not completely free. You can invite more freedom. Yeah. And I'm not encouraging to invite suffering. I mean, I don't know about you, but my life has had plenty enough of suffering to guide me just by living life. But there's I guess the pitfall is that if we turn away from suffering, if we think that the world should change, the world is responsible for our suffering. Yes, the world is maybe responsible for the situation being as it's being, but my holding on to thinking that the world should be in a specific way, people should be in a specific way, that I shouldn't feel certain feelings, well, that's just added uncomfortableness. That's in the way of love, connection, and freedom. And that I can let go of, and then I can still choose how I deal with comments that's more like garbage, more like projections of emotions that I can't really fix. How do I do with that? But how do I do it not from a reaction of getting rid of my own suffering, but rather, is this in service of love? Is this in service of truth? Yeah. Having life as your teacher, basically. And the stream that makes that possible is truth. And not getting lost in absolute mental teachings. Like, oh, I shouldn't be touched by this because there is no person here to be offended. Well, that's all good in theory, but that's not how it feels. What's your relationship with this? How do you respond to life when it's aiding your suffering? When life is showing you places that are not so comfortable? In the end, we're all just humans. We did not get a manual, or at least I didn't. If you did, please share it with me. None of us got a manual on how to get through this life. We're all just learning day by day, moment by moment. And I think the teachers are closer to us than we think. They're not necessarily found in a monastery. I mean, they can be, but they're also found in doing the dishes, interacting with people, going on the bus. Living our own truth. Yes. Thank you for sharing this moment with me, and I will see you next time.